Hi there! I'm going to show you all the steps on how to create a Python bot that scrapes Amazon.com for the best priced products and GPUs. And when he finds one, it will send you a WhatsApp message so you don't miss out on the deal. Without further ado, let's get started. First things first, the development environment for Python is really important. When you do Python, you want to have a development environment that gives you little trouble when installing libraries, with no dependencies issues, and where it is possible to see the result of running Python code in real time. If there is anything close to a perfect marriage for Python development, Anaconda and Jupyter Notebook are it. If you don't know anything about Anaconda, pause this video and check the video I put in the description. There you will see all the steps you need to follow to install Anaconda, and also you will learn the basics of it. I'm assuming that you already installed Anaconda, so let's start. By the way, you can follow the steps for this tutorial on a Mac or on Windows. I'm using Windows simply because it's more convenient for me to do the recording of this live stream. I also have a Mac, and I find the Mac is also quite suitable for this. So I've started the Anaconda navigator. The first thing I'm going to do for this tutorial, I'm going to create a new environment. You can pick from different Python versions, and the latest I have at the moment is 3.8. Now that I've created my new environment, I can install Jupyter Lab. Now I'll start the Jupyter Lab, and it will open a browser for me. Now let's create a Python notebook. And a Python notebook is almost like a document. It allows you to run code in real time. Let's say I want to print a message in Python. So you use print. So I'm running this code in a cell, and I press play, and it will print the message. Python notebook allows you to run Python code in real time, and it will allow you to see also the output of running that code. You can create blocks of codes in cells. So this is one cell. So you can create multiple lines of codes in one cell. I can assign values to variables and so on. Okay. What's really important is that I need to run all the cells from the top to the bottom, right? So if I initialize the variable here and I use the variable here, it works because I've already run this cell here. So I'm going to restart the notebook and clear all the outputs. And you'll see if I run this line here directly, it will throw an error. I've seen people make this mistake in previous tutorials, and that's why I'm mentioning it here. So if you haven't worked with Python notebooks before, you have to be aware that normally things have to be run from top to bottom. But you only have to run the cell once, right? So you don't have to run more than once. And this is one of the advantages of having Python notebooks. You can run one cell at the top, which maybe takes a bit of time, and then you can run code in the other cell that makes use of whatever information you extracted in the previous cell. It makes it a lot faster to develop, and that's why I recommend you to develop this Python bot initially, at least in a Python notebook. For scraping the Amazon.com website, I'm going to be using a few frameworks, right? Selenium, which is going to allow me to control a web browser, in this case Chrome. I'm going to be using the Chrome driver, which allows me to control Chrome, but you could also use other types of drivers, for example, to control Firefox. Then I'm also going to use BeautifulSoup and Pandas, and these two libraries are going to make most of the heavy lifting that I need to do when extracting data and parsing data. And Pandas and BeautifulSoup are libraries that you'll see very often, so it's worth learning them. We've already created an environment, and now we need to install the libraries that we need. So let's open a command prompt. The first thing I'm going to do is to activate the environment we created earlier, and we do that with conda activate. And now that I've activated the environment for our project, it's time to install Selenium, which is the first library that we need. And we'll let Anaconda do most of the heavy lifting. So Selenium is installed. The next library we need is BeautifulSoup. And now we have installed BeautifulSoup. And the next library we need to install is Pandas. So conda install Pandas. Okay, so everything is installed, and the last library that we need to install is the Python-chromedriver. Okay, So I've left the most important library for last, and the reason why I left this library is because many people make the same mistake over and over again. So you better listen and follow these steps exactly as I show you. The library that causes the most problems to everyone is the Python-chromedriver library. The Python-chromedriver library, for some reason, is always ahead of the actual official version of Chrome. I'm going to show you the version of Chrome that I have, which you can see. The version I have right now is the 92.0.4515.159. Okay, this is the official version. As you can see, I'm up to date. Yeah, there is nothing I can do here to bring it to a version 93. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to show you the pip page for ChromeDriver. Okay, and you can see that the latest version for the ChromeDriver-binary is 93.0. If you install this, what's going to happen is that this is going to say your Chrome is out of date, but your Chrome is up to date. But what you need to do now, you need to check the version that you have of Chrome. Mine is 92.04515, and you can see this is the version I need. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this version number and I'm going to do conda install Python ChromeDriver binary. And then what you also have to do, you have to specify version numbers. So the error we just saw is because Conda is not able to find the Python ChromeDriver binary in the default channel. For this reason, we have to look for this Python library from an alternative source. In our case, the alternative source is CondaForge, which is a community-led collection of distributions for the Conda package manager. So let's try it and install it again, but this time we provide CondaForge as the channel using the -c parameter. -c conda-forge. And it should find it this time. Okay, so now I'm installing it, and it also installs all the dependencies needed. Okay, so I have all the libraries that I need for now, and it's time to do a test. I'm going to import the Selenium library and I'm going to try and open a web browser. So from Selenium, import WebDriver swd, and this as basically just saying I want to have a shortcut. Yeah, so this is the shorthand name, so I don't have to say WebDriver dot, I can just say wd. So the import works. Now I'm going to try and open Google Chrome. I get an error straight away, but it seems like this is a Windows firewall trying to block the app from running. So many people also get this error. Allow access and restart the kernel. Import ChromeDriver binary. So the first step is covered. So now I'm going to add an extra line here, implicitly wait for 10 seconds. This is really important. Whenever you try to click on a button or maybe search for an input field in the web page, it will give you up to 10 seconds until it fails. And now I'm going to try and open the Amazon.com website. And so let's see what happens. And you can see it opened the Amazon.com website. So I'm going to inspect this. So there's an ID. So this is the ideal thing that you want in Selenium, an ID. I'm going to take note of it, put it somewhere here. Okay, so I need to know how to open this. So this input element. Okay, so this link. So the ID itself is simple. I'm going to copy it here. So first I click on this link and then I put some text into this link as well. The first thing I'm doing is wd.findElements by ID, and I'm going to pass in this ID and then I'm going to click on it. Okay, and then once I click on it, I can look for find element. So find element in the singular. Find element by ID, and I will save it into a variable. I'll call it postcode field, based like the zip code as well. So I'm going to put postcode field. I'm going to do send keys 80021. Okay, so let's see what happens. It is working. So I need to click apply. So apply. So there's the class. I will go for an ID if I have one. So input, whatever is the easiest. That's the rule of thumb for me. So it seems like the span also has an ID, so I can use that. WD find element by ID, and I pass in the ID, and then I click on it, and it will apply. So let's see. So it's applied. Then I have to click continue, confirm close, and then WD find element by ID, confirm close. So IDs in HTML are always unique. So whenever you're looking for an element, if you see that the element itself has an ID, then it's the easiest to go with, right? Because you know it's unique, so you don't have to worry about duplicates. But sometimes you'll find some HTML elements do not have an ID, and in that case you need to look for a class. Sometimes the CSS class can be unique, but you never know for sure. Okay, so let's run this and see if it worked. Confirm close. It didn't find it for whatever reason. Okay, so what I did, instead of getting the element by ID, I got the element by XPath. And you can easily get the XPath of the element by using the browser to get the XPath. It worked anyway. So I'm going to put everything together in the same cell, tidying up the code. So let's try. Let's see if this works. Right, so we have done the first part of the script, which is to just set the delivery address to the United States, and I put the zip code somewhere in Colorado. So let's go to the next stage. Before I start writing any code, I want to have the exact search query that I need to find the cards I want. Okay, so I'm going to do a search for 3080 Ti graphics card, and here you can see a list of cards, a long list. Many of them do not have a price, but the items that don't have a price, I'm going to ignore them because they are overpriced anyway. I'll give you an example. You can see here any buying options, they're all overpriced anyway. So you don't want to buy anything from here when you don't see the price in the main listing page, because chances are it's going to be very expensive. Okay, so I'm going to try and refine my query to be as precise as possible. So Nvidia, so I'm going to specify the graphics card here. Then I specify the memory to be at least 8 gigabytes. The RTX 3080 Ti should have 12. I'm just going to copy the URL. So I'm going to change my script. Now I'm going to open this page here, and this is when things start getting interesting. So all I have to do now is to parse this. Let's see what the HTML looks like. So I'm going to import BeautifulSoup, and then I'm going to instantiate BeautifulSoup, and then I'll pass in the page source of the page I just opened. So I'm going to check the HTML here. This is what I want to iterate over. I want to get all the different divs, and they all have an index, and this is the whole table here. So I can try and use this class. It's not unique, but I can still try. Results equal to soup dot find, and I'm going to pass in a div, and then I can pass the CSS class, which is search results. Yeah, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, there should be a lot of text. Not really, but there should be more than that. As search results without the S. Okay, this one gives me a lot more. So we already see a list of results. So there's more than one, so I should find all the items. This is going to be a list instead of text. So this one finds all the items. You can see there's a lot of things here. I can already see a list of search results, and I need to extract exactly what I want here. So let's go back to this div. So I want to exclude, of course, sponsored items. I want to first just figure out how to get the title, and that will be a quick win for now. Okay, the title is here, so I can get the text easily. So let's do that. I'm going to iterate for each result, and I'm going to get the title. So result.find, it's going to be, in this case, a span, and then the class is going to be a text normal. Title.text, I need to print it. Okay, so now we get only the titles that we want. I don't see any sponsored items. So here I have a list of items. To see if something is sponsored or not, I need to look for this label here, sponsored. So to find if it's if the item is sponsored, so we need to find a span a CSS class of a color base, and let's see what we get. So you can see we get the span here, but we get more things, right? So a color base is not going to give us the item we want because there are more. This CSS class is not unique. Okay, thankfully the actual text here is should be unique, so I'm going to include this in the query as well. Search attributes, so I'm going to also search for text equal to sponsored, because that's the text the span contains. Okay, and I'm going to save this in this element here. Print sponsored. So what we have here now is that I can already identify what are items that are sponsored or not, and I can see that this one is sponsored, but these ones are not, because none basically means there is nothing there. So this tag doesn't exist, which means that the item is not sponsored. So in this way, I can do an if statement. So if not sponsored, yeah, then I'll print the item, yeah, just to verify that we're not getting anything else. So you see the sponsored item is gone, and now I only have what I want. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to want to get the price, if it has one. As you can see, it doesn't always have a price. So a price, it's kind of easy to get. So I'm just going to get this CSS class, a price hole. So let's see what we get. So not everything is going to have a price, so we should see none quite often. So no parentheses, give me a bracket here. As you can see, most of the items in the first page, they don't even have a price. Or did I get something wrong? Let's check out. I should at least have one price, so I must have made a mistake. Okay, so a price hole should be there, but this code is not working the way I expected it to. Maybe I'm not seeing it, so I'm just going to double check. Yeah, the price is there. Yeah, it's showing up the price. It's just I almost didn't see it. So there we are able to get the price, but currently it's not giving me the actual value I want. Yeah, okay, so now it's bad, right? So now I'm getting the title and the price. Okay, and then what I can do next is to iterate through all the pages and get all the different graphics cards that I want to have. So I can click on the next button until it finishes. So let's figure out how to click the next button. As you can see, there's quite a few graphics cards, and here we have next. So I'm going to inspect this. So I'm going to try and click on the Pagination next, and then we need to understand how to stop. So the last item doesn't have a next button, so let's see how it looks like now. So there is a pagination disabled link. Okay, so let's give it a go. Find element by class name, and we're going to give it the name Pagination next. Okay, so it seems like it found it, and we can try and click it, but right now it's not going to click because it's in the last page. So let me just try it, and it's changing the page. So I can already click on the next page. Yeah, so it's working. It has gone to page 3, and let's go to the next page. And now this is the last page. Yeah, and let's see what happens when I try to click it again. Nothing happens, but we need to stop at some point because I don't want to keep looping. So we need to find a way to stop, and the way to stop is to detect the CSS class which says pagination disabled. So before I do a click, I'm going to get the elements inside the page. So I'm going to see if there's a CSS class inside the page link that shows me that it's disabled. And to do that, I'm going to use the getAttributes method. And the getAttributes method accepts attribute name, in this case class, and the extra s. From here I can see that there are a few CSS classes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this into an array. So you can see here there's an array, so it's easier. So I can check for the presence of my disabled pagination link. If s pagination disabled in, then I will stop basically, or I can do the opposite, which is if not, I can click on it. If I click on it, then it will go to the next page. What I also want to do, just to be not too quick, I'm going to do a time.sleep, let's say 2 seconds. To be honest, it's not the most well structured code I've written so far, so I might want to put it into a variable. Yeah, just make it more meaningful. So the idea is, if this CSS class is not present, that means I can click on it. It's definitely working, but the thing I forgot to do is a loop. So let's do while s pagination disabled in next page CSS classes, while not, then we will do the click for the next page, and now we're going to sleep for 2 seconds. I need to also add this code here, and I'm going to initialize this to empty. So the first time will always run, right? So what this loop is going to do is going to keep repeating until the next button is disabled, okay? And every time it repeats, it will get the link again, the next link again, and then get all the list of CSS classes. The list of CSS classes is for the next run, not for this one, so it's kind of appropriate to do it here. So I'm going to try again now. So while not pagination disabled in next page CSS classes. Okay, so I have a stale element. What does that mean? I see. I shouldn't be clicking on this before. Actually, what am I doing here? So I click on the next page link, and then I get to the next link again. But then I still need to initialize this the first time, right? So I need to do this once. So the next page link equal to this. Yeah. Alright, seems like I have a syntax error. Simple enough to resolve. An extra equals I shouldn't have here. And it seems that now I'm able to go through each page of the search results without an issue. And it stops. However, it stops, but I actually want to know that it stopped because there's no more pages, right? So I'm going to add another if statement. This if statement is going to allow me to know that I've reached to the end of the search results. So it's always good to have some kind of debug statement so we know we have reached the end of all the list of results. So let's try this again now. So I've reached the last page now. There's no more next. Actually, I made a mistake. I should say if pagination disabled in next page CSS classes, then I've reached the last page. Let's try again. Reach the last page, and now I can see there's a debug statement. Okay, so I can now go from page to page, but what I need to do next is to actually extract the search results for each page and combine them into a single table. I'm going to integrate this here for now. So this is to go to the next page. I'm going to get the contents of each search result. I'll turn this into a method later, but for now I'm just copying and pasting to keep things simple. Okay, so you can see I'm going to leave this code for now as is, and we just verify that it's definitely getting the information that we need. Okay, yeah, it's reached the end. You can see it's definitely getting all the search results. Now I'm going to put all this information into a table using the Pandas library. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to import the Pandas library, and then I'm going to build a list of rows for the table, an empty list, and each row is going to be a list of attributes. So each row is going to be equal to title, the sponsor attribute, and then the price, and I'm going to add it to rows. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to have a list of rows with the title, whether it's a sponsored item or not, and the price. I can add more items later. Okay, once I have all the list of rows, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a Panda data frame from records, and I'm going to give it the list of rows. Then I have to also specify a list of columns. And in this case, I'm going to have 3 columns: title, whether it's sponsored, and then I will also have the price. Okay, so I'm going to get a data frame per page to have a list of results. So I'm going to put here a data frame for all the search results, and the data frame is going to be an empty data frame with the header pd.dataframe. Then I specify the columns, which are going to be the same. So I'm going to copy and paste the columns from here. And then, so for each data frame I create, I'm going to do a concat. So pd.concat concatenates 2 or more data frames in a list. So you specify a list and it will concatenate for you. So this is the data frame for all the search results, which initially is going to be empty. Then here I'm creating a data frame which contains the search results for the given page I'm in. And then what I'm doing here now with pd.concat, I'm combining the overall search results with the search results of the new page I've processed just now. And then I need to initialize it here. At the end, I'm just going to output the data frame and see what it contains. There's of course a syntax error, missing run brackets here. PD is not defined, but that's because I didn't specify PD. I'm basically creating a shorthand name for the Pandas library, so I specify PD. That's what this is, nothing else. So I have something going on, but not exactly what I expected. Okay, so title.text. I'm going to convert this into a boolean, and then the price should be price.text as well. See how this works? I only process items with prices, so I need to check if the price is defined. Okay, it's completed. So you can see that I have now a list of graphics cards and prices, and here I can know which items are sponsored or not. Okay, of course you can see also there's quite a few results that are not really what we want. We are looking for the 3080 Ti, but we are getting the 2080 Ti, for example, here. So we don't want this type of search results. There's a way to fix this, but before we do that, let's make this into a nicer method, right? So instead of just having all this code inside the while loop, I'm going to put this inside the method, and I'm going to do df equal to get. Okay, so I'm calling this method. I'll define the arguments in a second. So I'm going to define the method in the cell above. Okay, so the method name is going to be get panda data frame. So definition, which is this is how you define a method in Python, with the definition, and then you open and close brackets for now, and then you put the code underneath it. We need to make sure all these lines are starting in the same column, otherwise it will fail. And here, so I can use this as argument actually. And I can take this code from here. This probably belongs in the method. So results for the page, search results page, then I pass this as argument, right? So I get all the search results for the page, and then I pass in this to the get panda data frame for search results, and then I'm going to call it page, and then I pass in the search results page, and then in the search results page I need to initialize the rows. I do it here, and then so I initialize it with empty rows, then I extract all the elements I need from each search result, and then I add the row to the list of rows in the data frame. So now I've defined the method. I think I already can use it. Let's see if this works. Bad name. Okay, so let me try it now. So it seems like it's working now. Oh, my Panda data frame is empty for whatever reason. So what am I doing wrong? Let me just see. Oh yeah, I'm missing a return statement. Because I've defined a function. A function normally should return a value. And in this case, my value is going to be a Panda data frame. And I forgot to actually return something. Okay, let's try again. Okay, now it's finished. And I have now a list of graphics card. One thing I'm missing here is a link, a URL, which I will need if I want to buy this. So I'm going to add a column here. So let's find out how to get the URL. This is a URL. So I'm going to try and use the A link normal. So URL, so an A tag, of course, an A link normal. If I want to get the href, I just have to specify href like this. Let me also specify URL here. Let's see if it works. It's now getting all the products again. Let's see if we can get our URL. So now we have a URL, but this is only the relative URL. I want the actual absolute URL. To solve that, we can just add the base URL to each URL that we extract. So as you can see, we have now the full URLs. In this list of results, we don't just get the 3080 Ti, we also get the 3060 and the 3090. So what we need to do, we need to exclude any results which are outside what we want. So I'm going to do a very simple filter. I'm going to remove any row which doesn't have 3080 Ti in the title. So let's do that. So first of all, I'm going to copy and paste my data frame, and now we can get the column by using the string as in a dictionary, or I can do it like this. And then to have access to the methods I want to use, I need to use the str, so it gives me access to string functions, and I'm going to use the contains function. Okay, so the contains function takes a string, which is the string I want to filter by, 3080 Ti. So it didn't actually return the data frame itself, it returned a series of booleans, and here you can see for each index in the data frame, it returns true if the row it matches my condition, and it returns false if it doesn't match my condition. And then I can filter by index. And now I only get 3080 Ti's. Yeah? So there's another problem here, the price. All of these look a bit expensive. So I'm going to take my original query, I'm going to apply another condition. So I need to use the single ampersand. If you know about binary, this is the bitwise AND. So I'm going to do price. In this case, price is a number, right? So let's try this. Oops, it's not working. And I'll show you why it doesn't work. So if I check the types of each column in our Panda data frame, you can see title is just a normal object. So price should be a float, but it's not. I'm going to try and convert the price into a float. So df all search results. Oh, it doesn't work. So it doesn't like the comma. I think the dot will be okay because the float has dots, but the comma is locale specific. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the commas before I try to convert the number. So a simple replace, comma with nothing. It didn't work. That's because I didn't use str. So there's no commas now. So let's try and do our conversion now and see what happens. As you can see, it worked. So it's able to convert our column to a series of floats. But of course, if we want to have a data frame with a new column, then we need to assign it. Okay, let's try now. And you can see float. So now I can go and get my query again, see if we can get some results. So you can see now that my query is returning results, but I don't really want to look for expensive graphics cards, right? It's not bigger than or equal, it's less than or equal. And you can see that now I have here all the graphics cards under 2,200 US dollars, and they are just 3080 Ti's. I don't get anything else. It's not a lot of results, but it's not too bad. The next step is to create a for loop, which will wait for some time, and it will do a query on Amazon.com. It will do a new search, and then it will check if the search results have any graphics card under 1,500 US dollars, whatever price you decide to filter on. So that will be the next step. So let's copy the code at the top. So I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to define the method name. So define get search results for page, and then I'll pass in a URL, and that's the only parameter I need, and that's about it. I'm going to be explicit about the return here. So here I have a method that takes in a URL. Okay, we are missing some code here, so I need to do wd.getURL. So it's going to open the page. It will do the query, and in each page it will wait 2 seconds before going to the next page, and it will extract all the results and return it as one big Panda data frame. So let's do a test, and this one is for the 3080 Ti. Okay, it has processed all the results, and I get my list. Now I have the guarantee that I'm returning a Panda data frame with a proper price. So now I have a method that does what I need, and I'm going to create another while loop. So the idea is I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to sleep maybe every 60 seconds for now. So, and then we can check if it's empty by doing dfquery.empty. Let's do a print for now. Seems like I made a mistake here. So let's try again. There's no products there, so it's correct. Okay, so it seems like I have a method that actually works. So whenever there are items I can buy, it will basically break. So the idea is we do the search on Amazon.com, we filter the results to only things that we actually want to buy, check to make sure that we only get the 3080 Ti, nothing else. And also we also check the price to make sure that it's under our budget. And then if our query is not empty, that means we found something we want to buy. And this is where I'll implement some logic next to send a notification on WhatsApp for each item that is within the price range we want to buy. In this way we can buy it. So let's change our query to something a little bit less common. Let's see. Okay. So I only get products I want. So that's my next task, to implement some logic to send a message in WhatsApp. With the idea would be to send a screenshot of each product I find, and whenever I receive the message, I'll be able to decide whether I want to buy it or not. The first thing we have to do is to install the library. I'm going to open first the command prompt. First I do conda activate Amazon price scraper. So pip3 install Pywhatskit. So it's already installed. So let's try and test this now, just to make sure that I have the library. So I'm going to do an import Pywhatskit as kit. If the library is there, I should be able to import it. And it worked. I'm going to send a test message so that I can be sure that my WhatsApp is receiving the message I sent. It.send what message instantly. Then I pass in a phone number and then a message. Then the third parameter is a delay. You need to set a delay. In this case, I'm going to set a delay of 30 seconds until the message gets sent. You need to have some kind of delay. If you don't put any delay, it's going to fail quickly. So you need to have a delay here. So in this case, I have a delay of 30 seconds. So let's see how that goes. You need to wait a bit. And it sent a message. So it seems to be working. To be able to connect WhatsApp for web with your mobile phone, you need to have your mobile phone within reach on the same Wi-Fi network. You need to scan a QR code with your mobile app to be able to start using WhatsApp. I'm going to rewrite this, and then I will put it at the top as a variable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate this code here into this code. So if I find any products to buy, I'm going to send a WhatsApp message, right? But maybe I should just create a method. So send WhatsApp message, and then this message is going to be receiving the search results. And I'm now going to define a method, send WhatsApp message, data frame as the input. And what I need to do, I need to iterate through each row in the data frame. Let's do a print first, so I don't spend too much time making something that doesn't work. And you can see I have 3 results, but they look like the same product, to be honest. So it's just changing the iteration to use the method iterows, so I get actually a data frame row. And yes, I get the full URLs now. This one is in stock. This is when you want to buy them quickly, not a bad price. For each URL in the code, take a screenshot and then send that in a WhatsApp message. And that's what I'll do next. First, I need to go into the page. So wd.get graphics card row.url. Then I need to take a screenshot. So the method I'm going to use is save screenshot, which takes a path. So I'm going to give it the path for my downloads directory. You can specify any folder that you would like. So each screenshot is going to have an index. So I'm just going to use the index I get here. And then I've passed in the extension of the file name. So it's a PNG. I visit each URL, then I take a screenshot. And the idea is later I'm going to add some code here to send a message in WhatsApp. But for now, let's test this as it is. So it's going through all the products. Now it's taking the screenshots. Okay. So let's take a look at the screenshots to verify they are correct. As you can see, they look good. I've specified a price high enough to make sure that I get results, but obviously you want to lower down the price so you only get good deal. So the next step now is to send a WhatsApp message. So here is the method I'm going to be using to send a WhatsApp message with a screenshot. The first parameter is very easy to understand. This is a phone number. Then I have to pass in an image path, which I already have. This is a screenshot file path. Then I'll have to pass in a caption. This accompanies the screenshot. In this case, I'm just going to pass in the URL of the product I've taken the screenshot for, so that I can easily access it from my mobile in order to buy it if I want to. And then the wait time is how much time do we want to wait before we send a message. As less as possible. By default, it will wait 15 seconds. Kit.sendWhat's image, my phone number. You can put your own phone number there. And then the file path to the screenshot. I'm going to save this in a variable. Okay, so now I can pass it in as an argument. And then the last thing I need is a caption, which is going to be the URL. And I'm just going to copy and paste it. And then finally, I want to close the window every time a message is sent. Let's try it now. Fingers crossed. So it's sending screenshots. And it seems like it worked. I've given you an insight on how to build a Python bot and it sends a WhatsApp message, and I think that's enough for now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it useful. I know it was a bit long and it would probably take you a few times to watch the tutorial again and again. I'm going to leave the source code in the article that I'll put in the description, and you'll be able to go through it line by line. And if you have any questions, as usual, just leave a comment and I'll try to answer the question as soon as I can. Until then, I hope to see you again soon. Happy coding! Hi there. I was just checking my WhatsApp messages for any kind of new GPUs.
good.
Baking.
Yeah, I can bake. Oh, sorry, the video is started. Welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how you can create a Python bot to send you WhatsApp messages whenever it finds a really good priced GPU on WhatsApp. Sorry, on Amazon.com. Without further ado, let's get started.